So when the concept of cancer and what Ayurveda has to think about it, it is a very simple thing. It is reproduction of partially formed cells, which according to the physiology of Ayurveda means conversion of food material, whatever you have consumed inside, is not doing its best to reproduce the 7 tissues that have been formed. One of the tissues may be formed excess. If you look at the successful transformation of the food which takes place once the food enters inside the body, you have the food first converted into chyle, that is the rasa. From there it gets converted into blood. From there it gets converted into muscle tissue. From there it gets converted into bony tissue, from the fat tissue. From there it gets converted into bony tissue. From there to the bone marrow. From the bone marrow it goes, and finally the reproductive tissue is formed. If you look at the formation of the body as well, it takes about 14 to 16 years for a total reproductive tissue that we use for the to procreate to be formed. So it has taken a long time for the food to be consumed and get converted into and finally produce your gametes. So if you understand this physiology, you will know that if the cancer is related to blood, that means conversion of food material into blood from the first tissue, that is the rasa or the chyle, is hampered, and what you need to aim at is the convertive factor of rasa or the chyle into blood. So that factor which determines the number of cells which will be produced into blood, which will determine whether you are going to have healthy cells or unhealthy cells. So the system is very, very simple. It isn't something very complicated that because all of us have been living with this kind of a body for generations, since the origin of mankind. Why is it just today, in the last 40 or 50 years, you see a sudden rise in a particular type of a disorder? Weren't we eating the same kind of food? Have we started creating newer kinds of food? No, the same material we are using. But again, we are not following the genetic tuning of your diet. And that is where diet comes as an important role into prevention of any disorder.